Miss Caitlin, how are you?
I'm doing so good and grateful to be here with you, Iris. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. And I am so excited to share everything I love about your fabulous poetry and about you personally with my audience. They're going to just love you like I do. I know they will.
Yay, you always put a smile on my face, and I'm so grateful to share with you and your audience.
Yeah, you're such a lovely individual. So I'd like to share your bio real quickly with my audience before we begin and share your poetry and your insights.
Beautiful.
So you, of course, Caitlin, are an accomplished author of several books of popular poetry. You serve as an entrusted pet companion and caregiver. Lovely. You are a Reiki master and Grace healing practitioner. You have a master's degree in transpersonal psychology with an emphasis on eco-psychology and life coaching. Caitlin also has a variety of certifications in energy healing modalities. Beautiful. Caitlin discovered that her resistance toward adversity was creating an internal cycle of suffering for over a decade. Eating disorders, addictions, codependency, and mental health disorders, common to us all. In the process, she discovered many healing modalities that helped alleviate much of the suffering, but not all. She has immersed her heart into reading about and sharing multifaceted aspects of consciousness. She also serves by offering graced healings created by Diane Fisser and other healing energy processes. She is a visionary poet, absolutely, and has been referred to as a visionary poet of profound universal insights with an astounding love of humanity. And that is so true about you, sweetheart. I totally see you that way. And that was by Awakening Visions Publishing in 2018. Caitlin has dedicated her life to releasing her attachment to thought forms, yay, and control, as to embrace the peace of this very moment. Her abundant, brilliant poetry is centered in the power of healing and transformation. And her poems are designed to empower readers to live out their truth as she lights the way with her loving words and healing intentions. I am so pleased to welcome such a prolific and talented poetic author, one of my absolute favorites, Miss Caitlin Leigh. Yay!
Hey, thank you so much, Iris. I'm so grateful.
Well, thank you for being who you are. I mean, that's the best news of all. Oh, sweetheart. Thank you for sharing your bio. You have done such an amazing transformational journey, and we're going to focus now on your fabulous work. So I'm thrilled about that. I was wondering if you could share with my audience, what inspires you the most? What are you the most passionate about with your work?
Absolutely. Since I started writing, I feel like at the heart of all of my poetry and everything that I do is centered around truth. And that's, I think it kind of goes back to I've lived most of my life in deception and, having an eating disorder and mental health, there was a lot of delusion and denial of the self. And so I've had to constantly work through that deception. And I feel like poetry has really helped me get back to the truth of who I am and of what really is going on. So I feel that truth and love and peace is really at the core of what inspires me and what I write about, because I know, or I've lived in that deception. I understand what it's like to not live in truth or to dishonor that truth and live in deception and abandon authenticity. So I really am inspired by truth and all facets of truth and the way truth continues to evolve and how we, in consciousness, at every level of consciousness, truth is perceived at a different level. So I'm just really intrigued by truth and how it continues to evolve and how it is for every person on this planet. And most importantly, for my healing journey too. So
it's so interesting because as we go around and we see things again at a different level of consciousness and a different level of awareness, truth is very subjective, and yet there is also an absolute truth that many people believe. is possible too, which is more in connection with the divine. And what I really love about your stuff too is that it really embraces the emotional and psychological level. And I can just really see and feel the amazing transformation that you have done with that, which is so exciting.
Thank you.
So what do you love most about your work? I mean, is there something specific you want to share that you love most? I mean, obviously what you've just shared, but I know it's got to be like such a thrill to
Yeah.
do it.
I love that. I feel like it's like sometimes I'm in a trance when I write it. So it's like I don't know who's writing it. So it's like soul speaking to soul. And I love the emotion that it's like I feel like there's some penetrating emotion of it. So like when a reader reads it, because when I wrote it, there was emotion moving through me. So I know that it evokes some type of emotion within another reader, whether that be joy, ecstasy, or it brings up that grief. So I love that it's like a tuning fork for whoever reads it with their emotional and internal processes. And
Sure.
that's,
Metaphor. I love that, like a tuning fork.
yeah.
It's interesting, just real quickly, when people ask me about, spirituality, when I try to explain my spiritual process, I speak to it a lot as an attunement process, being in tune with. So the tuning fork thing, that makes total sense to me in terms of, when we do channel our wonderful stuff, it is an attunement process to be able to channel the brilliant stuff and the deep stuff that you do. I totally get that. How lovely that is.
Thank you. Yeah, it's beautiful. Beautiful.
And there's so many things that I love about your work. And one of the big ones is the way that you title them at the end, that you show who is speaking at the end, like, homecoming, or, codependent craziness, or, I mean, do you remember, can you tell us some of those offhand, some of those beautiful signatures at the end? And of course, we'll share some of your poetry, but can you think of a couple?
Yeah, there's been some, I feel like they're very vulnerable titles in some of them. Some of them are codependency, greed, but then there's also infallible joy or oneness. So it kind of covers the spectrum of like the human consciousness from like grief and shame all the way to joy and peace. And it's like, yeah, as humans, we're all of these and we experience all of these things and it's beautiful. So there was a very, very authentic piece to writing these titles when I was like, okay, this one's greed, this one is shame, this one's codependency, because that's exactly what it is. And it's like once you call something out, you kind of release the attachment to it, and then the poetry itself kind of just releases it. So I really enjoyed that process of titling it that way.
I love it. It's brilliant, and to me, it's one of the funnest parts to see how you have tagged that. And one of the things that I have learned about codependence is I'm definitely like you. I'm an empath. I'm highly sensitive. I have always been highly intuitive, borderline psychic, whatever, however you want to look at that. Nevertheless, I found that there's a fine line between compassion and codependence.
Mm-hmm.
I had to be able to honor the fact that I'm a very compassionate individual and at the same time, not be codependent. So anyway, I so get, the richness of your work.
Thank you.
And how you understand that.
Thank
So
you.
tell me let's hear the titles of your fabulous ebooks.
So the first book I ever wrote was Just Passing Through: From a Suicidal Mind to a Heart of Truth.
Ooh,
And yeah, I wrote
a title.
I know, it's so interesting. That was in 2017. I was finishing my master's program and I was, I had to do a project for my class, my life coaching class, and I ended up writing that book of poetry. And my teacher was just like, wow, this is amazing. The title was just really raw and to the core. And I was really like nervous about sharing it just because it's so raw.
Yes.
But since then, I feel like my writing has continued to evolve, and the ebooks or the poems and the books that I've written, the titles have shifted and the writing has shifted. So the next book I published was Hollow Bone, and that was a year or two later, followed by Breath of Water, and then Boundlessness, and then the latest one is Ineffable. So, and I mean,
I haven't read Breath of Water. We're gonna have to fix that.
Actually, yes, there's a poem I would love to share from that one that actually
Good.
I think is a favorite from some people. So yes.
Good. So before we share, just tell my people, please, where we can find your books.
Absolutely. So you can find them on Amazon. All of them are on Amazon in Kindle version as well as the book version. So ebook and Kindle. I have one book on Smashwords, and you've been inspiring me to get all of them on there. So that's a work in progress. And then I also have an Etsy shop, which is in my link tree that you've shared probably. So I have 3 locations, and I'm most likely will find other ways to get them out there as well. And then I also, for people who are interested in trading, I have them on Simbi as well for trade. So
wonderful. So my question is, what is the name of your Etsy shop?
Words of Bodhi. So
how do you spell Bodhi?
Bodhi. So Bodhi actually, I believe in whatever terms means enlightenment. So words of enlightenment.
Okay, well, nice to know, because I love having our stuff up on Amazon. However, there's so many things on Amazon, it's hard to find. So unless people have specific links, which is great, that's why I also encourage Etsy, is because it's easy. Once you know the name of the shop, you can go to Words of Bodhi, and there you are.
Yep.
It's in the Bodhi tree. Wonderful. I love that. So, how affordable is your stuff? I know it's probably affordable because they're ebooks, which I love.
Absolutely. They're anywhere from $4 for the ebooks, $3 to $4 up, and then the books range from $10 to $17. So it's in a price range that, if someone just doesn't want the hardback, they can get the ebook for $3 to $4.
Right.
And if they want the hardback version, they can get it anywhere. They're going to get it less than $20 and between 10 to 15. So
that is really reasonable and fabulous. So why do you think most people find your work so important and relevant these days?
I honestly feel that in a time that we're in now, that it's so important to be authentic to who we are.
Amen, sister.
Thank you. And so I feel like it's important to readers because it's so authentic. It's sharing of the heart, and I feel like it inspires people to share from their heart, whether it's writing poetry or dancing or crying in front of their friends because in their too ashamed to. So I feel like it just encourages people to be all that they are. And
you're just such a beautiful example of that, I just have to say. And I just have to interject that's one of the things I wanted to mention that I adore about your work, is that you are a courageous warrioress. I mean, it takes a lot of courage to really bare your heart and your soul. And the more deeply we write, the more courage it takes.
Yes.
And so I feel like you are a way shower and such a beautiful example for so many people to be able to say, well, that girl's got gutsy gumption, and she shares from the deeper, real, authentic places within her. And I trust that absolutely inspires other people. It certainly inspired me. And when I picked the one piece of your work that touched me so deeply that I can't wait to share today, I started, thinking of just these amazing titles would come into my mind. And you really inspire that deeper, more authentic place. And I really honor you for that. So,
thank you so much.
I know that right now.
Thank you.
I hope I didn't interrupt you. Were you finished? Were you ready to move on?
Yes. yes.
So in terms of, how do you see your target market? Who do you think benefits the most? Obviously, other poets who are, I just expressed it, are doing their best to find their voice. Obviously, people in healing transformation. I'm answering your question, aren't I?
Oh, no. Yeah, absolutely. You are totally on point. Absolutely.
Yes, I see and feel those beautiful things about you. And it's so exciting because we need a real authentic voice. We need higher consciousness. We need the total spectrum. We need good metaphors and empowering positive language. And you just have it all, girlfriend.
Yeah, I feel like it's so important to, I feel like this really reaches the mental health the spiritual people on the spiritual path, and even kids. But it's really important. When I started this journey, I was so focused on like, I can only feel positive and joyful and only pure consciousness. And it's like, that's not what this is about. That's dualistic thinking. It's not right or wrong. This is good and this is bad. It's about embracing all of it. And I feel like this really is encouraging for actually like a lot of populations, but definitely the spiritual populations, to encourage people to embrace the whole spectrum of consciousness, not just saying, let's dismiss the lower energies and these lower consciousness. Okay,
Yes.
no, we need to observe them so they can shift and transform. And the only way to do that is to allow them to surface. So I feel like this, the writing that I have really can inspire people in the spiritual path to not be in such a dualistic thinking and saying we have to be positive all the time. But no, let's embrace the entire spectrum. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's such an honor to be in this beautiful space and experience all of it.
Yes, it all has a perfection to it. And especially your first book. How lovely for those who are lonely or lost, or who need a good example. And, a lot of people love reading a good biography because it inspires them.
Yes.
So I totally get that. So, okay, I am ready for you to read something, because then I have to share my favorite. So you share something, if you would, please.
Well, this is one that I literally can still remember writing, and it just brought ineffable joy when I wrote it. I believe this is from my book, Breath of Water, my third book of poetry, which is a black and white book of poetry with pictures in it.
Nice.
And I've had a couple of friends mention that they love it. It made me so happy because I was like, I remember how I felt when I wrote that. I remember what I was doing. And it's such a simple poem that encapsulates just the beauty that's emanating from that moment. So,
all right, I'm ready.
It's called Companionship. And it says, I love the way water glistens when kissed by the sun.
That's beautiful.
And I almost am in tears because I was in tears when I wrote it. I was sitting in the shower. I wasn't even outside. Like, I love watching the ocean being kissed and just glistening. But I was in the shower, and sometimes when you're sitting there and you see the light reflecting, and it was that first moment that I ever truly appreciated and saw that glistening. And I was just in tears of joy from the beauty of like what was actually happening, that I was a witness of it. And I finally took a moment to appreciate that, because there's been many moments in my life where that's happened. And it's just kind of like, oh, it's just another day. But that moment, it just, goosebumps.
Okay, let's have another one.
Yes. Actually, this is one I've shared with a few people in my Course in Miracles group, and it's called It's There. Smoothly sailing through the unknown, all fear and worry has drifted away, and love simply permeates all that is. What was once a struggle is now embraced with a loving acceptance, a deep reverence as though it is perfect. For whatever is perfect. It is all perfect. So if the sun shines today, how lovely. And if the sun does not shine today, how lovely. It is as if the world could be on fire, and that would be just beautiful, perfect. For whatever is burning on the inside will be mirrored outside. And in this moment, everything is simply perfect. For the I am has been embraced, and this feeling of completeness has taken over. Totally absorbed in one's wholeness, what is felt inwardly is reflected outwardly, and everything is so darn beautiful, remarkable. The beauty is magnificent and perfect. Basking in this wholeness, dancing in the completeness, a beautiful world is reflected back to all that is complete. This innocence is found in all.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And, the other thing I love about your work is it's so universal. It really, you don't get off on a lot of weird tangents. You don't, it's just speaks such deep universal truth. And I love that. That was gorgeous.
Thank
you. What was the name of it again?
This one's from the latest book, and it's called It's There.
Lovely. So
Thank you.
can I read the one from Ineffable that spoke to me so amazingly?
Absolutely, yes.
So here's the thing about this poem is it's like, as I have been, as you know, actively honoring other people, I'm learning to honor myself.
Yes.
And this really felt like it honored what I honor about myself. And it just, it's like when somebody honors you and it's really real and really true and you really feel it, and you really get it. So I honor you for that. Here it is. Silky, smooth softness, delicate, dancing, divine, blissfully brilliant beauty, shining, shimmering starlight, glistening, gleefully gladness, humble, honest, honoring, transcendent, twirling twinkle, colorful, caring compassion, intuitive, imminent intimacy, enlightened, emanating exquisiteness, fruitful, faithful, frolicking, nurturing, noble nature, miraculous, marvelous moment, visionary, vivacious view, open, omniscient oneness, benevolent, benign beginning, jovial, joyous, jolly, wonderful, wisdom written, peacefully present path. Be here now, remarkably rest, renew, and be still, be blessed, simply be. And it's entitled Twirl. And for me, I call it, so what was I came up with? Visionary mastery twirling.
Beautiful.
So like there are like a million of my keywords in this thing.
Yes.
And it's so rich and so deep. I mean, what is it, like 20 lines or something? And each one is just a vision in and of itself. So I love that very, very much. And that's an Ineffable. So that's one of my favorites. I went in and kind of looked, and you have so many, I couldn't really pick, but that one, I just kind of said, okay, I'm going to tune in, show me the one. And it was not a one that I remembered reading before, but boy, it showed up for me. And I was like, oh man, do I ever get that? So thank you for that. It made me teary. I mean, that's how good. I don't get
listening to, like, I don't, hear people usually say it out loud, and it almost brought me to tears, just like joy was like oozing.
Absolutely. And I just love it so much. It could not be any richer and deeper, my dear.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm curious if you have a sense of what the next step might be for you.
Absolutely. I feel like there's going to be a little bit of a change in my career. I'm still going to continue pet sitting, but my next step is I've been creating YouTube videos that are focusing on truth, higher consciousness, authenticity, and I will be definitely sharing more of that, but also my poetry on there. And I would like to continue focusing on that and getting out there more, probably attending poetry workshops where I can share my poetry and engage in more public speaking, just because, I am not a public speaker. I don't feel very confident, but when it comes to talking about this poetry and higher consciousness and truth, I feel empowered, and I feel this, radiation of love coming through. So that would be the next step, is to continue pursuing this path, even though I don't know where it's going to lead, but it feels like the path that I want to continue to walk and embrace. So
beautiful. So I had a flash that I'll share with you.
Yeah.
Might just be worth what it cost you, which is nothing. However, when I read that poem, I got all teary and I went for a walk. What I flashed on was you doing poetry workshops where people can find their visionary voice.
That's beautiful.
Calling it visionary voice and really not only sharing your work, but maybe brainstorming some really great questions to draw people out, to teach them how to write authentically, not only through your beautiful example and encouragement, but maybe through some really good key questions. And maybe just, start by, like, I joined the Poetry Society of Colorado, and it was kind of insightful for me because I was kind of the crazy fool on the hill that did her own thing, and I didn't really have any other good information. And what I learned is it's really good to write down a bunch of different titles, like you and I love to do. It's good to write down a bunch of keywords, and to start with those things. And I think that you could teach other people primarily by example, but nevertheless, authentic voice, visionary voice, something. Anyway, that's.
Thank you. I feel like something just like triggered in my brain. I was like, oh, that really resonates. Yeah, that feels like in alignment. So thank you for that.
Yes, and I would love to probably have some of your wonderful students, besides me, on your YouTube channel, sharing their stuff and being able to, showcase your little star students, I think would be just a really fun thing too. I know that you would really enjoy that. I just know you would.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let me see what else. I had some good questions here. What do you feel, Caitlin, is your most important message that you'd like to share with my audience? It could be another poem or just something succinct that is your most important message.
Actually, I would like to share a poem from my first book.
Beautiful.
I feel like it kind of just gets right to the point.
That's the beauty of poetry.
So it's called Mirror, and it says, "One day we are all going to wake up and see God in the mirror." And this message to me is very universal. Like I feel like we're speaking of higher consciousness, not God as a person, but just the fact that one day we're all going to wake up and see the just ineffable beauty that's radiating forth within us, all of us. And that's like the heart of my message, and that's the truth. That is the truth. It brings me to tears because it's so true.
And it's so big, and it's so big, and it's so needed right now. That's for sure.
Yes.
Do you have a sense of perhaps what's the most powerful thing you've written? I mean, how can you decide? Your ebooks amaze me. Like, you have these poetry ebooks, like with over hundreds of huge amounts of pages. I'm just like, oh my gosh, most poets, you're lucky if you get, 40 to 60 pages, and your stuff is amazing. But do you have like any other favorite that just really, I know, how can you choose?
It's so, there's one I don't have my breath of water with me. There's one that I really, really appreciate that kind of transmutes the energy of shame. It talks about my previous experience with mental health and intimacy. It really kind of transmutes the energy of shame into courage and being open to love and intimacy and relationships. So
tell me the name of the book again and the name of that poem, if you can.
Water. I cannot remember the name of it. I'm going to have to look that one up, but that's the one that's coming to my mind. I just remember it's just so powerful and kind of just, I feel like
next time.
Yes, a lot of people can resonate with it. So.
Oh, that is so incredibly beautiful. So the name, so if someone wants to find you, I think the easiest way is to go to www.etsy.com/shop/words of Bodhi.
Yes.
BODHI.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
Good. And all of your ebooks are there?
Yes, I have them so people can get the PDF version or they can get the hardback version on there as well. So I like to, give people options. So on the Etsy, I think it's even cheaper than on Amazon just because, Amazon marks up the prices. So
Yeah, I really like Etsy because I like buying from the little guy.
yes.
I really do. And I shop Etsy a lot. And of course, as you know, I have an Etsy shop, which really thrills me. So as we're coming to a close, is there anything special that you would like to share with our audience in closing?
Um, just I am so grateful to be here with you, and I'm so grateful to share this beautiful connection and this work with your audience and to remind everyone that to follow their own truth and to, walk back home to the beauty that's within and don't be afraid to embrace your authenticity, because the world it's exploding into light. The more we embrace our authenticity, it's exploding into light. So just radiate your light and watch the world explode into light.
Beautiful. And to be a way shower, I mean, your courage, your depth, um, you're such a wonderful wordsmith, your ability to take all of that and put it together. And so, I mean, I can't even imagine how many poems you've actually written. Like how many pages are most of your ebooks?
About 200.
Yeah. See, so like you're not paying, a few dollars for an ebook that's got 20 to 40 pages. This
Right.
woman's work, that's what I want to share, is truly inspirational to me. And reading that poem that touched me so deeply, and while there's a million of them I could share, well, close to a million, that one really, it just encapsulates so many beautiful things that I dearly love about myself. And I just want to say that I trust no matter where people are, they will find things so that they can really look at their own divinity, like you talked about, and find their courage and be authentic and let their light shine. And I'm so deeply touched and grateful for this opportunity to share everything that I adore about your work with my audience. And I thank you so much. And I hope that you will share this on your YouTube channel as well, as I'll be sharing it on mine.
Absolutely honored. Thank you for this beautiful connection and opportunity to, share with your audience, Iris. I feel so blessed. You are beautiful and divine.
Takes one to know one, girlfriend. Thank you so much, Caitlin. I appreciate your time, sweetheart.
Thank you.
Until we meet again, my love.